Hello, I'm Brian Tracy, and welcome to the Brian Tracy Show. We're here today with Jason Mefford, who is an absolutely remarkable guy. He helps companies comply with all the regulations necessary to function. He's a best-known author. He's a great speaker. He's a trainer. He's a coach. He works with large and small companies worldwide, and he's a remarkable guy. Thank you very much for being here.
Thanks, Brian, for having me.
Jason, tell us a little bit about what you do.
Well, what I do is help organizations reliably achieve their objectives while addressing uncertainty and acting with integrity.
Right.
It's really kind of three areas that a lot of organizations have struggle with trying to balance. It's almost like they're a juggler and they're trying to juggle these three balls.
Yes.
And if they're not careful, then one of them can end up dropping. And it's a concept called principled performance that was developed by OSEG, which is a think tank that I've been involved with for the last 10 years.
Right.
And we've noticed, as companies have gotten themselves in trouble, usually what's happened is one of those balls has dropped. So we try to help businesses try to figure out, especially the more complex they are, the larger they get, the more struggle they have with trying to balance those three balls.
Wow. So what is your mission or purpose or vision for your business and for your clients in the future?
Well, really, what I want to do is help businesses succeed in the long term. Right. If an organization only is focusing on one of these, like performance, they can perform well in the short run, but eventually things catch up with them.
Yes.
And we've seen this over and over again. We had a huge stock market crash in 2001.
Right.
A lot of that was caused because people were not, filling out financial statements with integrity. They weren't following the laws.
Right.
We had a big crash in 2008, and a lot of that, again, it was the result of risk management failures, but also of some integrity issues.
Yes.
And, even just recently, we've had a bunch of issues with Volkswagen. And again, it's one of those where they were focusing so much on performance that they actually did some things that were against the law. Wow. And it can have huge impacts on companies. I mean, the estimates right now that I'm hearing, this is going to cost Volkswagen probably somewhere between $50 to $60 billion to actually fix this problem.
Holy smokes. And of course, all the regulators in the world are going after them like hungry dogs.
Well, exactly. I mean, that's one of the things that's changed in the world in the last 20 years.
Yes.
The governments are becoming much more active in regulating businesses, and so it's that much more important now for businesses to really take this seriously, and not to do it in a way where they're just checking a box, on some sort of compliance form, but that it's actually built into the integrity of the organization. If they don't do that, eventually it comes out, right? I mean, it's just like any person who's trying to pretend. Yes. Eventually they get found out.
We have a rule that eventually everybody knows everything.
Yeah.
And in our modern world, just look at the scandals you see in the newspaper every day. No matter what happens, it always comes out.
Yep.
And it's coming out faster and faster now.
Well, it is, because as technology has changed especially, you can't stop that information from getting out there. Right, and that's one of those things that it's hard for a lot of companies to actually think about and realize how do I deal with this, right, with a lot of these changes in technology and just the increase in regulations as well that they have to follow all over the world, especially if you're a multinational corporation.
Right.
You've got, a lot of laws in every country in which you operate.
So I'm sure there are other people who work in this area, this OSAG group that you talk about.
Yep.
What is it about your work that makes you different, better, superior, more desirable than perhaps someone else who claims to do the same thing?
Yeah, well, that's a great question, because actually, I've been involved with OSEG, which is a think tank, for about 10 years. And, they came into being in 2002, right after that big stock market crash. Right. And they've developed resources and other things, including a capability model on how an organization can go through and look at different components and elements for creating a plan to be able to balance all of those. And I actually co-authored that standard, and it's the only international standard that relates to kind of these three areas, which a lot of people are calling governance, risk management, and compliance. So I'm an expert in it. I mean, I've been involved with them. I'm a fellow with the OSEG think tank. and have been, like I said, involved with them for many, many years, have helped companies all over the world. I don't travel as much as you do,
right?
But I find myself each week in a different city in the world.
Wow. So you have a very high experience level in this
Yes.
area.
Yeah, as well as actually working in-house. So, I did this at 2 multi-billion-dollar companies before I came out and actually have started teaching as well.
Wow. So can you give us a success story of a client that you worked with who might have been here when you started working with them, but as a result, they came up here in terms of either operations or profitability or confidence or market positioning? Just one success story that illustrates.
Yeah, so one, I won't share the name, but
Right.
it's a Fortune 500 company.
Yeah.
Very successful company, household name. And they were one of the early adopters to this and actually, took it seriously, were able to help integrate and build this into their company.
Right.
And some of the things they experienced were things like 30% reduction in certain of their administrative costs.
Right.
So for a multi-billion-dollar company, that's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
A lot of money. Some other things that people have seen is, their organization, a lot of times as organizations get big, they kind of forget who they are. And what this also helps them do is go back and focus on their mission,
Right.
vision, and values and
Yes.
realize, hey, this is what we stand for. And so some of the other experiences we've seen companies actually perform better, right? Because this culture is built into the organization, and so they're actually able to perform better as well.
That's great. Now, how can somebody get some information about you, find you if they want to use your services?
Yeah, so they can go out to my website, which is jasonmefford.com. And from there, there's different information. They can contact me through that website as well. It also has links to many other websites where they can get information.
Right.
And if anybody's interested in actually that GRC capability model that I helped to co-author,
Right.
They could download that from the OSEG website, which is OSEG or OCEG.org.
Okay, now, one last question. Who would be the ideal person watching this broadcast for you? Who would be the perfect person who should really call you right away because you can be of big help to them?
Yeah, so especially, the ultimate best would be boards of directors, executives,
Right.
That are looking at, they're dealing with these challenges themselves and trying to think about, how do I do this? That's the perfect audience because we talk about a concept called tone at the top.
Right.
And if the board and the executives get it, then it can push down into the rest of the organization. Those are ideally the best people for contact, but what we see a lot is it's people kind of in that mid-level. Somebody that's responsible for a compliance function or internal audit or maybe an ethics and compliance hotline that are grappling with, how do I do my day-to-day job, right? And so a lot of those people reach out to me and come to my trainings, because they're trying to figure out, practical ways of actually implementing this. And so that's, one of the services that I offer is training, right, to help people hands-on and practical for how they can actually accomplish this in their organization.
That's wonderful. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
This is very helpful.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you very much, Jason.